What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of FAFO Friday. If you don't know what FAFO means, go look it up. It'll be really obvious after you see it. Today I decided to bring Dave in to FAFO Friday just to kind of talk, because him and I were actually having a conversation the other day. And, with FAFO Friday, we're really talking about self-defense situations, right? We're talking about how to defend yourself in a situation that may not be ideal, which I guess none of them are ideal, but I've talked about pepper balls, we've talked about tasers, we've talked about firearms, we've talked about common household items, we've talked about, other tools that could be used as, defensive weapons. One thing that we haven't really talked about is, learning a little bit about self-defense, right? How to defend yourself. Whether it's you go take a boxing class or a kickboxing class or karate or judo or jiu-jitsu or you name it, right? I mean, dude, Steven Seagal's a badass.
Right.
He's not as badass as Chuck Norris, but
No.
he's badass, and I mean, that Aikido is quite impressive, or whatever he takes. I'm pretty sure that's what he takes.
I think that's what
yeah,
it
I
is
think
too,
it is
yeah.
too. So, one thing about defending yourself with your hands is, and this is what you and I were talking about the other day, is so oftentimes people have gotten to a point where you now have to defend yourself and you still are trying to talk your way out of the situation.
Right.
Right? It's evident that you're about to be assaulted and you still want to talk your way out. Personally, I think talk time's over when it's imminent danger.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
It's
agreed.
time to stop talking. It's time to defend yourself. Strike first and strike fast.
Yeah.
Right? I think they talked about that didn't they do that in The Karate Kid? Have you seen that new Cobra Kai show? Have you watched that yet?
I have seen some of it.
Yeah, I think they talk about it in there. They're like, strike first and strike fast.
Right.
I mean, and I think that's important, is that if you are in imminent danger of this is legit, like, I mean, we're not talking about some guy who's 50 feet away from you flipping you a bird and screaming at you,
Right.
or you're in your car and some guy next to you is like, blah, blah. I'm not saying jump out of your car and strike first.
No.
But what I'm saying is now you're in traffic and somebody literally gets out of their car, comes over and opens your car door.
Yep.
Talk time's over.
Yeah. Yeah. The car
Right?
door's open. It's time to come out swinging.
Right. Right. And,
That's it.
and here's the thing, and it really depends upon some states, but I can tell you here in Michigan, if somebody comes over to your car and yanks your car door open and you pull your firearm and shoot them, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
That is not okay. It is not. Now, if you witness somebody, doing something that was going to hurt somebody, you can certainly defend yourself or that person with your firearm, but you cannot shoot somebody just because they open up your car door, even if they're angry,
Yeah.
which is silly in my opinion.
Mine too.
I mean, dude, you brought a fist to a gunfight, but nonetheless, strike first. There are lots of great apparatuses, even in your vehicle, and a Pepsi bottle.
Yeah.
Like, right? Look what
Yeah.
the guy did with the twisted tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, I'm just saying, if I'm in my car, and I always have a Pepsi Zero in my car, shameless plug for Pepsi. Grabbing this and smacking somebody in the face with it that's going to hurt.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't want to get hit with it, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's a great way to defend yourself. Strike first, right? Daze the person to the point where once you make that initial strike, you can drive away, if you can. Or you can at least get them out of your car door, close your door, and lock your doors.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Or roll up your windows, whatever you have
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
But, yeah, I just think,
That's it. I mean, it really is.
yeah, I think that, being able to defend yourself in any situation is paramount, right? Using whatever tools you have available. Your car keys,
Yeah.
I can remember when we were younger, there was a lot of talk for women defending themselves, but it holds true for men too, is putting those keys through your knuckles and using them as, as a deterrent. You're not going to kill anybody with that, but it's
gonna hurt.
certainly going to hurt.
Absolutely.
It is going to hurt.
Toys.
Right.
They're
It
gonna-
is. It is definitely going to hurt. There's always, key areas to aim for too.
Right.
The groin, the throat, the eyes, places that are very sensitive to. It doesn't take much to hit you in the throat to stun you and deter you.
Absolutely.
And I would definitely caution people about throat punches as well, because you can literally kill somebody by punching them in the throat.
Quickly, yes.
Yeah, you collapse their windpipe and bad things just went down. So it went from self-defense to manslaughter. But, go ahead and speed bag somebody's nuts, kick them in the ball, whatever. Nobody's going to die from that, So there's always that kind of, have you ever found yourself in a situation where somebody's just caught you off guard and you just had to defend yourself?
I honestly have not.
No?
Luckily, I
Right.
feel, knock on wood.
Right? Yeah.
You?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I was, I've had a few incidences, but the one that really sticks out is I was at a concert at Pine Knob, sitting on the hill. Some guys behind me were smoking funny stuff.
Right.
And there was a guy in front of me, and he had his kids with him. And, these guys are up here on the hill, and they're smoking, and the smoke is going down and hitting these kids. And I was just as annoyed by the fact that it was blowing into my face than everybody else was. But, we're all at a concert. We're having a good time. If you go to the hill at Pine Knob, that's what you're going to get, bro.
Yep.
So if you don't want that, don't go to the hill,
Mm-hmm.
right? You've got to kind of give and take, right? Nobody's doing it in the pavilion. There's too many sheriffs walking around.
Right.
But up on the hill, it's kind of like a free-for-all. It's like Woodstock.
Yeah.
But,
kinda.
so this dude just turns around, like, out of the blue and, like, starts screaming at me, that smoke comes in my effing face one more. And I'm like, whoa, dude. And I went to say something, and he chucked his beer at me.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, well, it was a plastic cup, but
Right.
chucked his beer at me. Well,
Game on.
yeah, at that point, I found myself kind of in his face, but quickly de-escalated because of the kids. But still, if kids wouldn't have been there involved, it may have gone further.
Right.
Because now here I am, I'm soaked in beer, and I wasn't even drinking beer on the hill. I didn't have anything. I was just sitting there enjoying the concert. This is a lot of years ago. But, nonetheless, so I've had situations where, it really boiled down to, it was about to escalate really quickly. And it easily could have if him and I both didn't show self-control.
Right.
But yeah, I've never really had anybody like come up and like sucker punch me or anything like that, or, that's what I'm saying. That's like the closest that I would say
Right.
that I've come to having to really, out of the blue.
Right.
It's different though when you're, you don't like somebody, because I've been in that boat too. Where it was like, it was mutual. It was mutual combat. We were good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but just being, like I said, just taking the initiative, and and the thing is too, we're not getting any younger.
No.
We used to be young cats. Now I'll be 50 in like 15 days or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just turned 49, so yeah.
50.
My brother told me I didn't want to be 50.
I don't feel 50 though. I
Me
really
either.
don't.
That's the problem.
Yeah. I think if anything, I'm having the better time of my life now than I did all those other years ago. So. But at the end of the day, it's more difficult as you get older to be in that situation. We don't want to be in that situation. We've learned, right? Times have changed, and learning is different. So it is what it is. But
Right.
so yeah, can you think of any other, possible, like, what's another way that we could defend ourselves other than the things I've talked about? I think I kind of covered most of the bases. There's
Yeah.
there's just not a lot left.
No,
Yeah, that's about it. But like I said, definitely tender spots is definitely what you want to aim for. Like I said, groins, you know, throats, eyes, sides of the neck. Um, don't be afraid to stick a thumb in their butt either.
Yeah. Ooh.
I'll tell you what, man.
Hey.
Listen, hey, bro. But we've all seen these jokes about that. But let me tell you something. If you're getting choked out and that's just the end of it, I'll tell you what. You stick a dry thumb in somebody's sphincter, and they might listen. It's the other thing that for FAFO Fridays. Fighting is not fair. Right? I mean, we're not in the UFC and in a cage where certain things aren't allowed or you can tap out and they're done. You have to take every act of aggression towards you as they want to kill you because you don't know any different. So you have to escalate that to the pinnacle of this is worst case scenario.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, but one way or the other, I'm going home to my son.
Yep, me too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's one thing I learned when I was doing my training for security. That you get somebody down on the ground, you're holding them. And you need to hold them for the police or whoever.
Yeah.
You get them down and you got them on their stomach because you want to be able to subdue them. They won't do anything. Take your hands, both your hands, and you smack them right here on the sides. They'll do whatever you want. It's amazing. We were training to doing that. And I'm like, oh! Anything you want them to do, they'll do it.
But
it's unbelievable.
Will they poop themselves? Maybe?
Well, no.
I'm just saying.
No,
you're talking about that, and I'm going, huh? Well, I mean, that's like kidney shots, right?
Yeah, but you smack them with open hands, just
right.
Pow! And
yeah.
They're like, duh!
Yeah. And ironically, you mentioned security. I worked as a bouncer for a lot of years. I used to work for ESI that did industry nightclub and stuff like that. I toured with a lot of different bands working with ESI. So I toured Nine Inch Nails, the Eagles, Pop Elite itself, just a ton of different bands, and I got to work a lot of cool concerts. And then I worked at a lot of the local bars down in our area, the Hamlin pubs. I worked at Diamonds and Spurs for a while. Just a bunch of different places, and you really do learn really quick how to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Because usually it's drunk chicks that are trying to hit you with their glasses or throw their beers on you. So you find that wax off works really well, right? It does. Because you're trying to tell some girl that's like out of control and she's ridiculous, and you're like, hey, and she's like, and you're like, whoa, you're like, nope, don't want to wear that. So, you learn how to manipulate people and, and open doors with heads and things like that. I used to love when little guys would get lippy at the bar because I'd just walk behind them, grab them by the belt, pick them up off the ground, and just walk them out the door. Hey, can you get the door for me? Boom!
Thanks,
right? And just and actually, there's only been a few times that I ever had to subdue anybody to wait for the police.
Okay. Right?
Like they did things that were criminal. I had it happen once at the Hamlin pub in Clarkston. I had a guy that the manager said, hey, he's got to go, but hold him for the police. It was over his tab, and he was just being belligerent. So we literally went outside, and I sat on the ground, bear hugging him, and he kept begging me to let him go. And I said, no, then Waterford PD showed up, and actually it wasn't Waterford, it was county. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said Waterford, but county sheriff showed up, and they took it from there. So, but yeah. Outside of that, though, definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. Like I said, if you guys feel that it's necessary to learn some self-defense techniques, especially for the women or even older people, go check out your local karate, kung fu, whatever. Most people that are going to try to victimize you are not trained in martial arts or any kind of self-defense. The reason that they do that is because they're bullies. They've either been picked on their whole lives and now they're turning it around. they don't know how to defend themselves against somebody who's educated in the skills of hand-to-hand combat, and it takes them off guard. They don't expect that you're going to put up a fight. They're trying to intimidate you for lack of having a backbone themselves. Right. It's true, right? Absolutely. And because, you know, somebody like me, I'm not going to just go over and bully somebody. You know, I mean, I'm just not. That's just not who we are, you know? I mean, you know, it's just like owning guns. You know, everybody's like, guns are dangerous. No, they're not. No. My guns have never woke me up in the middle of the night and said, yo, bro, I just got back from some shit. Can you get rid of me?
Yeah.
What are you talking about, bro? Like, you know, I mean, my gun doesn't do that. My gun has never accidentally shot itself. It's never accidentally pointed itself at anybody because it doesn't happen. That just does not happen. Guns don't fire themselves normally. I mean, I suppose you could have something that's really old and, you know, maybe isn't well taken care of. I mean, that potentially could. But even then, I would highly doubt it. I can't even imagine that there's a gun that's just fired itself. So, yeah, scratch that. That wasn't true. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've got some old guns, and nothing's ever happened. No, I've never even had them make a noise in the background.
Nope.
No?
Mm-mm. Never cocked themselves?
No. No. I was just trying to think, has it? No. Have I ever, like, picked up my gun and had it go, bro, unloaded?
Yeah.
No, I loaded it. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, man, I'm Moose.
And I'm Dave.
And this is FAFO Friday, man. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. If you like seeing stuff like this, guys, seriously, especially if you're a first-time viewer, the reason that you've probably never seen our channel is because YouTube does oppress Second Amendment anything. And I don't mean just guns. I mean anything that has to do with self-defense or, you know, any kind of anything. Even prepping gets just, it's just crazy. It does. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we'll see you next time. Till then, be good to each other, and God bless.
See ya.